An accidental sneeze from me lifted the skirts of every woman in the city. When I casually flicked out a piece of booger, it brought disaster upon an entire nation, all just because I bought a secondhand glass terrarium on a whim, which contained a miniature world inside. The dense black dots in the tank weren't ants, but countless tiny living people, and I was seen by them as a life form capable of bringing blessings. At this moment, tens of thousands of tiny people were kneeling before an altar. The emperor among them raised his hands toward the sky. Heaven, it's the third year of the Great Qian drought. Starvation is everywhere. The people are forced to eat their own children. If fate has cut off all roads, please bring heavenly punishment upon me, Zhao Zhuan alone, and stop tormenting the people of Great Qian. His weak voice drifted into my ear. It happened to be when I was having breakfast, so I gently picked up a small crumb of cookie and carefully placed it next to the altar. Then, I instantly grabbed a magnifying glass to observe how the tiny people reacted.
Inside the muddy kingdom of Great Qian,
Zhao Zhuan was numbly kneeling at the altar. All the civil and military officials behind him were crying. Just then, the sky suddenly grew dark. Zhao Zhuan raised his head in confusion and saw two gigantic fingers like pillars reaching the heavens, parting the clouds. Right after, a meteorite radiating a strange aroma crashed down next to the altar with a loud bang. The entire capital shook violently as a result. Zhao Zhuan collapsed in fright. Before he could react, an enticing fragrance swept through the whole city instantly. Starving soldiers hacked off a piece of cookie with their knives and swallowed it straight down. The next second, the soldier jumped up with excitement. "Your Majesty, this is edible food. It tastes amazing. I feel like I have endless strength." Upon hearing this, Zhao Zhuan couldn't care about keeping up imperial dignity and rushed to the cookie crumb, chopping at it. Sweet energy instantly filled his whole body. Heavenly food descends from the sky. This is a miracle. The true God has manifested. Suddenly, Zhao Zhuan knelt down and fiercely knocked his head 3 times. 9th generation emperor of Great Qian, Zhao Zhuan, thanks the heavenly emperor for blessing us with celestial food, and thanks the God for saving our lives. Seeing this scene, tens of thousands of subjects also began madly kowtowing. At the same time, a cold mechanical voice rang in my mind. Detected host contact with the miniature world. Great Qin dynasty downgraded. Creation system binding successful. Current host identity, Heavenly Emperor. Duty, feed and intervene in the affairs of Great Qin dynasty. Gain divine favor points. Divine favor points can be exchanged for advanced blueprints and professional skills. Currently, the fortunes of Great Qian are at the brink of collapse. 3 years of drought, surrounded by external enemies. I stared at the remaining half of my cookie, with a crazily rising smile on my lips. Spent $50 on a tank. Came with a bunch of subjects. They call me a god. Is there anything more satisfying than being the creator? I watched the tiny people in the tank eating like stars shooting from their eyes. Just eating this stuff would surely choke them to death. So I filled a bottle cap with mineral water and poured it into a dried-up riverbed. At that time, Daekian subjects were still fighting over the fresh food. Suddenly, someone pointed at the sky. "It's the heavenly river! The heavens are bringing rain!" Everyone looked in the direction he pointed. A giant red disk gradually tilted, and a crystal-clear waterfall poured from the sky. The flow instantly filled the riverbed. Seeing this, all of Dakian's people dove into the moat. This water is actually sweet. And there isn't any mud at all. To people who've only ever drunk bitter well water, mineral water is truly like nectar and jade. Zhao Zhuan excitedly scooped up the clear river water. Thank the Heavenly Emperor for not abandoning Great Qian. Great Qian is saved. Just then, the system notification sounded again. The Creator has sent down sweet rain. Loyalty of Dakian subjects increased. Divine favor points plus 500 earned. I happily wiped my hands. These divine favor points are just so easy to earn. Just as I was about to check out the system shop, I noticed a plume of smoke rising from the terrarium. I immediately leaned over to take a look. A dark army was advancing on Great Qian. They were riding strange beasts that looked like fleas. Wherever they went, Great Qian's villages were wiped out completely. I then looked toward the capital. The commander defending the city knelt before Zhao Zhuan. "Your Majesty, 3,000 Volf cavalry from the north are at the city gates. The border army has been completely wiped out. The Volf cavalry are only 10 miles outside the city. Our troops are powerless to turn the tide. The people of Great Qian, who were ecstatic just moments ago, now felt like they were plunged into an ice pit. Zhao Zhuan looked hopelessly at the distant cavalry. Volf riders are ferocious by nature. If the city falls, they will surely massacre everyone. Within 10 days, Great Qin will cease to exist. All troops follow orders. Defend the capital to the death. Even if we fight to the last man, we must not let the barbarians take a single step inside. Right then, the Volf tribe army arrived at the city walls. The Volf tribe Khan showed a cruel, savage grin. Warriors, follow orders. Prepare to sack the city. Seeing this scene, I grabbed a pair of long-handled tweezers. How dare you mess with my territory? You must be sick of living. With those words, I maneuvered the tweezers and smashed them precisely onto the empty ground in front of the Volf tribe army. The ground immediately split open with a deep crack. Countless Volf tribe soldiers fell in. In less than 10 seconds, the once ferocious army of 30,000 had suffered over half casualties. The Volf tribe Khan looked up in terror. What kind of monster is this? On the city wall, Zhao Zhuan was stunned, watching this scene. This is the divine power of the Heavenly Emperor. Saying this, he raised his sword in excitement. Soldiers of Great Qian, the Heavenly Emperor is protecting us. Charge out and strike down the enemy. With morale sky high, the Great Qian army rushed out of the gates, slaughtering the terrified, broken Volf tribe troops. After Zhao Zhuan led the troops to a huge victory, the system notification sounded again. Host has defeated the Volf tribe army, saving Great Qian from crisis. Divine favor points plus 2,000 earned. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the blueprint for the Juge repeating crossbow. Would you like to use it on Zhao Zhuan? I clicked confirm without hesitation. The blueprint turned into a stream of light and entered Zhao Zhuan's mind. After absorbing the knowledge, Zhao Zhuan immediately gathered all officials to kneel in thanks. Thank you, Heavenly Emperor, for your blessings. Great Qian is saved. I nodded in satisfaction. This is just the beginning. Since I'm playing, I'm going to turn Great Qian into the strongest empire. A month flashed by for the Great Qian dynasty. But in my eyes, it was just a few hours. For the miniature people in the terrarium, this month was a miraculous era that turned the world upside down. I spent 2,000 points to buy a water wheel and fertilizer, and taught the blueprints to Emperor Zhao Zhuan all at once. Not only that, I split a single raw rice grain into dozens of fragments, and planted them into the land of Great Qian, to the people of Great Qian. These were godly seeds bigger than millstones. The parched land outside the capital came to life again. News that the capital was blessed by the gods quickly spread throughout the land. But the three warlord factions with their own armies not only refused to come to the capital to pay respects, they actually went mad with jealousy. The three main warlord leaders quickly reached an agreement. They gathered 150,000 rebel troops. Under the banner of eradicating evil spirits, they directly seized control of the wealthy Jiangnan 3 provinces in the south. They relied on the natural barrier of Linjiang City, firmly choking the lifeline of the Great Qian dynasty. The rebel leader even put up wooden signs on the city wall, with curses written in dog's blood, insulting the gods, to boost their troops' morale.
Inside Linjiang City,
The rebel leader was partying in his mansion with wine and women. He held a beautiful concubine in his arms. That so-called Heaven Emperor is a joke. If he really has the guts, let him strike down my Linjiang City. Not even a heavenly thunderbolt could break through my city walls. Hearing this, I sneered.
he's actually insulting me now.
Love's hiding like a turtle, huh? Just you wait. I rummaged through the drawer and took out a few glass marbles I used to play with as a kid. I placed one marble on my finger, aimed at Linjiang City and flicked it gently. In the next second, the marble flew straight through the main gate of Linjiang City, crushing a large number of rebel soldiers. The rebel leader felt a massive tremor. He scrambled out to the courtyard in a panic. What the hell is that? Could that really be heavenly thunder? Seeing this, I chuckled. Looks like my aim is still as good as ever. But I'm not done yet. Then I fired off the rest of the marbles one by one. One after another, the marbles smashed into Linjiang City, instantly turning the city wall to powder. The massive shockwave even caused all the surrounding buildings to collapse. The rebels were wiped out before they could even scream. In just 1 minute, the supposedly indestructible Linjiang City was reduced to ruins. When Zhao Zhuan saw this from afar, he bowed frantically in my direction. His reverence for me reached its peak. At this moment, the system notification sounded again. Host has displayed divine power. Great Qian has completed unification of the land. Gained 8,000 divine favor points. Civilization upgrade requirement reached for Great Qian. Unlocked basic iron smelting blueprints. Black powder formula. I laughed as I picked up the glass marbles. The age of cold weapons is over. Next, let Great Qian experience the art of explosions. After pacifying the 3 major warlord territories, the Great Qian dynasty entered an unprecedented golden age. With my teachings in iron smelting and black powder, the first cannons were rolled out to the city walls. Great Qian officially entered the era of firearms. But I knew very well, civilizational leaps often come with ambitious power struggles. One day, out of boredom, I strolled across my territory with a magnifying glass. As I scanned the capital's military gunpowder storage, I noticed a few sneaky little figures. Looking closer through the magnifying glass, I realized it was former Prime Minister Lin Yuan and some of his close allies. Lin Yuan pointed at a pile of black powder. The Crown Prince will test fire the new cannon this afternoon. Swap all this top-grade gunpowder with damp coal slag, then stuff the Crown Prince's cannon full of iron pellets. Hearing this, his allies shuddered uncontrollably. Prime Minister, if the cannon explodes, the Crown Prince will be blown to pieces. Lin Yuan snorted coldly. Blown to bits is exactly what I want. His Majesty is obsessed with that so-called deity, having handed all power to the Crown Prince. Once the Crown Prince is dead, I'll take advantage of the chaos to start a coup. There's no reason the Qian throne can't be taken by the Ling family. Hearing this, I snickered. Plotting palace intrigue right under the creator's nose. Do you really think I'm blind to deal with scum like this? I didn't even bother with physical force. With a thought, I activated the system's divine oracle broadcast. Then, my voice echoed through the skies above Qian's capital. Prime Minister Lin Yuan is currently hiding in the underground gunpowder storehouse, plotting to sabotage the cannon and murder the Crown Prince. Arrest him immediately. Don't make any mistakes. As my divine voice faded, every citizen in the capital stared in shock. The city was abuzz with discussion. Then I turned my attention to the imperial study. Emperor Zhao Zhuan shot up from his seat. That old dog, Lin Yuan. How dare he plot against the Crown Prince? Does he take me for a figurehead? The deity has already revealed where Lin Yuan is hiding. Mobilize the imperial guards across the whole city. Arrest Lin Yuan and all his accomplices at once. Bring them before me. I want this traitor executed 1,000 times over. When the imperial guards heard this, they set out immediately. They surrounded the gunpowder storage from all sides. By then, Lin Yuan had already collapsed to the ground. Could the deity really be omniscient? I'm completely finished. The imperial guards brutally kicked open the gunpowder depot doors. They dragged Lin Yuan outside. That very afternoon, Lin Yuan was executed by slow slicing. Seeing all this happen, I was in a fantastic mood. Whoever says palace intrigue is hard, I totally disagree. I resolved the crisis with just one sentence. What's so hard about palace intrigue? Thinking this, I flopped onto the sofa. It was the height of summer in the real world. I casually turned on the air conditioning. The temperature dropped by 16 degrees instantly. And at that moment, the system's cold warning sounded in my mind. Warning, host. Activating air conditioning for cooling will bring an extreme cold wave sweeping across Great Qian. Severe cold is approaching. If not handled promptly, Great Qian will face an unprecedented survival crisis. Hearing this, I looked carefully. Cold wind howled out from the vent of the air conditioner, blowing right into the eco-terrarium. For me, it was just a refreshing breeze. But for the people of the Great Qian dynasty in the terrarium, it was like entering the Ice Age. I turned off the air conditioner immediately. Shit, I totally forgot about this. Then I hurried over to the terrarium. A violent blizzard raged in the miniature world. The moat was already frozen over. Moisture in the air condensed, becoming palm-sized hail crashing down. The unprepared citizens of Great Qian turned purple with cold. Collapsing in the snow by the masses, Zhao Zhuan gazed at the sky in despair. Heavenly Emperor above, please save Great Qian again. Save my people. I looked at the devastated terrarium. This miniature world's temperature regulation is way too weak. If I wait for it to warm up naturally, the people inside would likely go extinct. So I rushed over to the closet, dug out an old winter coat I didn't want, and pulled out handfuls of fluffy down. Then, using tweezers, I pinched the cotton tufts and evenly spread them above Great Qian's cities, creating a giant thermal shield. The citizens of Great Qian looked up in amazement. It seemed like it wasn't snowing, but rather huge goose feathers falling. And these feathers felt so warm. It must be the deity blessing us with clouds of warmth. Seeing this, the half-frozen citizens immediately burrowed into the cotton. I also placed a little space heater next to the terrarium, balancing out the temperature inside. Once things returned to normal, I picked out the bits of down one by one. Zhao Zhuan, with tears streaming down his face, cowed out to the sky.
He thanked the Supreme Heavenly Emperor for his protection.
Once again saving my Great Qian. The system notification sounded again. Host resolved the frozen river crisis. Save the people of Great Qian and receive divine grace. Points plus 10,000, unlocked food decomposition and teleportation permission. Now I can decompose items at will and teleport them to the miniature world. At these words, I suddenly felt guilty. After all, this crisis was caused by me. Never thought I could earn divine points by cleaning up my own mess. Does that mean I could farm divine points with this bug? But I immediately dismissed the idea. I still decided to be a caring god for my people. If things get out of hand someday, it could end badly. I tried out my new ability again. This decomposition ability is really something. In situations like earlier, I can break down feathers to the right size and distribute them evenly to every resident. And when I put down the feathers earlier, I was so worried I'd accidentally crush a tiny life. Next, I flopped onto the couch to get some sleep. After all, being a god isn't an easy job. The next morning, I stretched lazily after waking up. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted the eco tank on the table. It seemed chaotic inside. Instantly, I was wide awake. I dashed over to the eco tank in a single bound. At this moment, the Great Qian dynasty was engulfed in flames. Most of the city walls had collapsed. Tiny people were fleeing everywhere in the streets. I frowned at the sight. They barely had a few days of peace, and they're fighting again already? Could there still be rebel remnants? I leaned in and looked closely into the eco tank. All the hair on my body instantly stood on end. Inside the tank, a bird-eating spider the size of an adult's fist was crawling in. To me, the spider was just a bit scary. But for the tiny people inside the eco tank, this wasn't just a spider, but an apocalypse-level ancient beast. The city's main general swung his sword and ordered to fire at me. Don't let the monster get near the palace. With the order given, dozens of cannons from Great Qian fired at once. But dozens of cannonballs hit the bird-eating spider, and it didn't feel a thing. The bird-eating spider was enraged by the cannon fire and angrily swung a front leg, sweeping at the crowd. In an instant, over 100 Great Qian soldiers fell. Next, it opened its huge mouth and spat a mouthful of sickly green venom. A large area of houses was corroded into black sludge instantly. Zhao Zhuan personally led the troops, drawing the spider's attention, covering the retreat of the people. Just hold on a little longer, until the Supreme Heavenly Emperor arrives. He'll definitely slay this monster. Hearing this, I slammed the table in anger. Where did this damn spider come from? How dare it bully my people? It's really asking for death. I grabbed a compass and pinned the spider down hard. The bird-eating spider let out a horrible shriek, desperately trying to pounce at Zhao Zhuan, but couldn't move an inch. Seeing the spider immobilized, I quickly ran to the storage room and took out my powerful electric mosquito swatter. Walking back to the eco tank, I slammed the swatter down onto the spider. From the perspective of the Great Qian people, the whole sky was covered by an enormous electric net, and thunder crashed down from above. In just a second, the spider was roasted to a crisp. After a dead silence, cheers erupted like a tidal wave across Great Qian. Zhao Zhuan knelt in the ruins of the palace, watching the divine thunder net retreat into the sky. It was the supreme heavenly emperor who sent down thunder from the ninth heaven. Long live the supreme heavenly emperor. I turned off the electric swatter. The system notification sounded again. Host annihilated the apocalyptic beast with lightning strikes. Protected Great Qian's civilization. Received plus 50,000 divine grace points. A month later, in the miniature world, in the main square of Great Qian, a pure gold statue of me was erected. Now, the first thing I do every morning is inspect the miniature world with a magnifying glass. After all, the people of Great Qian are now fanatical believers, and divine points pour in like water. The more I look at my own country, the happier I feel. But today, I noticed a few strange little people. They wore completely different clothes from the people of Great Qian. You could tell just by looking something was off. The leader glanced around warily and took out a bundle of explosives from his coat. His 3 accomplices immediately gathered around, quickly stuffing fuses into the corner of the powder magazine. The leader sneered and lit the fuse. If this bomb goes off, half the capital will be blown to bits. Seeing this happen, I picked up the half cup of cool water on the table and used the matter decomposition ability. A droplet of water the size of a grain of rice was precisely flicked into the eco-tank and extinguished the spark. The leader looked at the fuse in astonishment, then up at the sky, which was perfectly clear. What's going on? Where did this water come from? The leader unwillingly tried a few more times, but every time I extinguished it. Enraged, the leader strapped the explosives to himself. Damn it, I don't believe this. You guys cover me, I'm charging in. The underlings hesitantly looked at the explosives. The boss directly lit the bomb. That's too dangerous. We'll get caught in the blast. The leader took out a fire striker. What's there to be scared of? Blow up the powder magazine, and half the capital of Great Qian will be gone. Even if we die together, it'll be a huge accomplishment. By this point, I was already bored with playing around. I condensed the water into 4 bubbles. The water bubbles shot rapidly toward the 4 spies. But just a few seconds later, all 4 were trapped in watery prisons. They struggled desperately, but couldn't break through that thin layer of water film. The leader pounded on the bubble in panic. What the hell is this thing? Who's behind these tricks? Next, I sent out my Divine Eagle ability. I used it to notify Zhao Zhuan of what was happening here. A moment later, the Daeqian Imperial Guards arrived in a hurry, torches in hand. After Zhao Zhuan saw the scene clearly, he excitedly bowed to the sky, thanking the gods for sending divine water to protect the great Daqian nation. The Imperial Guards and court officials behind him recovered from their shock. They all dropped to their knees and loudly hailed the Heavenly Emperor. Divine grace is boundless. The system prompt sounded again. Host has displayed the might of an all-knowing, all-powerful God. The faith of Daqian's people has reached a fever pitch. Divine favor points increased by 30,000. The sound of my rising divine favor put me in a great mood. That divine favor sure is accumulating fast. I glanced again at the spies who were rolling their eyes in dizziness. Then, with a single thought, the water spheres trapping them instantly burst. The half-alive spies dropped straight to the ground. Seeing this, Zhao Zhuan coldly gestured for them to be seized. I want to see who dares to stir up trouble right under the Heavenly Emperor's nose. The Imperial Guards immediately bound the spies tightly. The interrogation went unexpectedly quickly. The leader spat out a mouthful of bloody water. We are from the Giant Spirit Kingdom. Your Daqian's recent spate of miracles has drawn the attention of our emperor. But don't think you're invincible now. Upon hearing this, Zhao Zhuan frowned. The Giant Spirit Kingdom? Where is that? How come I've never heard of it? The attending ministers glanced at each other in confusion as well. After hearing this, the spy cackled maniacally. You bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. On the far side of the endless sea, it's our Giant Spirit Kingdom. That is the true overlord. Our territory is 10 times the size of your Daqian. Our invincible fleet has already crossed the vast ocean and will reach your shores in no more than 7 days. And your so-called Heavenly Emperor? Could he stop over 1,000 of our warships? As soon as our fleet arrives, Your Dakian will be reduced to scorched earth, and your people will be slaves to our kingdom for generations." Upon hearing this, Zhao Juan kicked him over. "How dare you disrespect the heavenly emperor? Take him out and execute him by 1,000 cuts." As the spies were dragged away, Zhao Juan's face grew extremely grim. He quickly walked to the altar and knelt to the heavenly emperor. Dakian still lies in ruins, and now the overseas barbarians are attacking with their full might. Our navy is weak. I fear we won't be able to stop them. Just then, my terrarium in front of me began to ripple with strange energy. The eastern side of the tank suddenly began to expand. The frosted glass extended outward to reveal an entire ocean, and at the edge of the sea, I could faintly see a massive continent on the horizon. Countless black dots were surging toward us with the waves. Looking through the magnifying glass, I could clearly see there were thousands of fearsome-looking sailing ships. Each ship bore the flag of the giant spirit kingdom. At the same time, the system panel appeared before my eyes. World map of the terrarium expanded. War mode has been lifted. New power detected. Giant spirit kingdom. Watching the ever-approaching fleet in the tank, a wave of conquest surged inside me. I want all powers to bow down before my divine might. With this thought, I picked up the desk fan I used for creating wind. Time to let you overseas barbarians experience what weather from a higher dimension truly feels like.
10 minutes later.
The 1,000-ship fleet had blockaded all the coastlines of the Daichin Empire. The ships were packed with giant spirit kingdom soldiers in heavy armor. The giant spirit kingdom's naval general stepped to the prow. "Listen up, Zhao Juan. I'm your grandpa Chihu, with the 1,000-ship fleet of the giant spirit kingdom. Here, those few shabby fishing boats you call a navy are a joke. If you know what's good for you, surrender immediately. And tear down that ridiculous golden statue of your so-called god. Maybe I'll let you keep your life." On the Dakian city wall, the Minister of War knelt down, face ashen. "Your Majesty, the enemy fleet has rammed and sunk 3 of our patrol ships. Our admiral is holding the river mouth with the remaining ships. But our ships are just too small. They can't possibly withstand the assault." Zhao Zhuang glared furiously at the shoreline. "We have the protection of the heavenly emperor, and cannons bestowed by the god above. No matter how many ships they have, they won't set foot on Dakian's land. Pass my command. Arm all hidden cannons immediately. Take aim at the enemy ships, and fire at will." At his order, every cannon along the coast erupted in fire. Dozens of shells howled toward the giant spirit fleet. But Chihu just sneered, then flicked his hand sharply. In an instant, several layers of obsidian shields rose along the sides of the fleet. The cannonballs struck the shields, only to spark a few flames. At this sight, Chihu doubled over with laughter. "Is this the so-called divine weapon of your stupid god? They can't even pierce my shield. And you still dare to show them off? Let me show you real firepower. All hands, listen up. Blast their batteries to pieces." In the next instant, the giant spirit navy unleashed hundreds of cannons at once. Shells rained down on the coastal batteries. All of Dakian's cannons were destroyed. The artillerymen were blasted away on the spot. Messenger after messenger ran up the city wall. "Your Majesty, the West Batter has been blown apart. The Navy can't hold on any longer. Third squad's totally wiped out. The enemy's about to land." Zhao Zhuan listened to the stream of bad news and collapsed to his knees on the wall in despair. "Heavenly Emperor, please show your divine might and save your Dakian people." The defenders behind him knelt as well, calling skyward as one. "Heavenly Emperor, display your divine power. Protect Dachin." Chihu just shook his head disdainfully. "You're at death's door, and you're still praying to your useless god. Bunch of clueless frogs in a well. Even if he does show up, I'll send him to the bottom of the sea along with you." Outside the terrarium, I watched this scene, pointed the fan directly at the 1,000-ship fleet, then switched the desk fan on. The fan blades began to spin slowly. A breeze, gentle as can be to me, blew into the terrarium, but for the miniature world inside, it was an end-of-days hurricane that could destroy heaven and earth. Just a moment ago, the sea was calm and peaceful, but in an instant, massive waves dozens of meters high formed. The giant spirit fleet was tossed and shattered by the storm and waves. scattered all over the place. Chihu's wild grin froze instantly. He clung tightly to the ship's rail. Where did this hurricane come from? Steady the ships now. At that moment, 100-meter-high wave crashed down, and the flagship was smashed in two. Chihu didn't even have time to scream before he was gone. He was swallowed up by the raging sea. The remaining warships suffered an even more miserable fate. In just a matter of moments, the once invincible 1,000-sails fleet was completely destroyed. Only floating debris remained on the surface of the sea, along with a few giant soldiers struggling in the water. Zhao Zhuan and the people of Daqian stared in shock at the scene before them. It took a good 10 seconds before Zhao Zhuan finally came to his senses.
He once again bowed deeply to the supreme god Haoshan,
Who had sent down the divine wind to destroy the barbarians and protect our great Qin. The power of faith surged in like a tidal wave. At the same time, the system notifications sounded in my mind again. Host defeated. Giant's 1,000-sails fleet neutralized the Daqian's extinction crisis. Awarded 100,000 divine favor points. System detection. Current host. Divine favor points have surpassed 200,000 in total. System shop advanced privileges unlocked. Looking at the skyrocketing divine favor points on the system panel, I nodded with satisfaction. This round brought in a huge profit. The equipment Daqian has now would have been a dimensional blow 3 months ago. But with the updated map, these new overseas forces have emerged, and it's simply not enough anymore. If Great Qin really wants to secure its position, maybe even unify the entire miniature world, we have to push them further up the technology tree. So I opened the system shop and quickly scanned through the dazzling array of blueprints. After careful selection, I bought the steam engine blueprint, the industrial mother bed precision blueprint, and the generator blueprint. These 3 blueprints are the core of the entire modern industrial system and the foundation of a complete weapons revolution. After confirming the purchase, the system prompted, purchase successful, spend 80,000 divine favor points. Blueprints have been sent to the host's permissions library. Inject knowledge into Zhao Zhuan? At the prompt, I made up my mind. Confirmed injection. 3 golden streams of light appeared out of nowhere and shot precisely into Zhao Zhuan's mind. Zhao Zhuan, standing on the city wall, suddenly shuddered all over. Countless mechanical principles flooded his brain. After a full quarter of an hour, he finally slowly opened his eyes. He bowed down to the sky once more in complete reverence, thanking the supreme god Haoshan for granting unparalleled divine knowledge and eternal courage to Daqian. I then used all the remaining divine favor points to exchange for more weapons blueprints and dumped them all into Zhao Zhuan's mind. Watching inside the ecological tank, the scene was instantly ablaze with activity. I was filled with a strong sense of accomplishment. Time flows much faster inside the ecological tank than in reality. Only 3 days passed in the real world, but in all of Daqian, a whirlwind of weapons revolution had erupted. With the knowledge I bestowed, the craftsmen needed just 1 month to build the first standard precision lathe. With the industrial mother bed, they finally crafted artillery barrels, rifling and bolt components, completely solving all the drawbacks of smoothbore cannons. The first mortar landed quickly. On the day of the firing range test, I went to watch in person. After the gunner pulled the breech lever, the shell hit the target 20 miles away with perfect accuracy. It blew the stone wall to pieces. Everyone present gasped in shock. In the past, the red cannon had a maximum range of only 3 miles. Whether or not it hit the target depended purely on luck. But this new cannon not only tripled its range by 6 or 7 times, its accuracy was absolutely unbelievable. It felt like divine craftsmanship bestowed by God himself. Zhao Zhuan looked excitedly at the smoking barrel. Immediate full-scale production of this cannon. Within 3 months, I want every darkroom battery and every warship fully equipped with this divine weapon. Immediately after, Daqian developed the steam engine. Originally, Daqian's navy ships relied only on wind power, and their wooden hulls were easy to destroy. With steam engines implemented, the Ministry of Works spent just a month and a half to build the first ever, fully ironclad steam battleship. The hull was covered with forged alloy armor. 6 breech-loading rapid-fire cannons were installed on each side, and a heavy siege cannon was mounted on the bow. Not just the Navy, But the army's equipment underwent a radical transformation, thanks to the industrial mother machine and steam engine. Artisans built tracked armored vehicles, and Dakian's first bolt-action rifle. I watched Dakian's complete transformation through a magnifying glass, and the smile on my face grew wider. Then I activated the Divine Oracle broadcast function. The giant spirit empire invaded Dakian and killed my people. Now Dakian's military strength is at its peak. Mobilize immediately to flatten the giant spirit empire. Even if the sky falls, I will bear it for you. Hearing this, Zhao Zhuan immediately knelt towards the sky. Zhao Zhuan respectfully obeys the command of the heavenly god and will lead the army to flatten the giant spirit empire, to avenge our past humiliation. That very day, Zhao Zhuan issued the call to arms. 12 ironclads majestically sailed out of the harbor. I set my sights on the waters of the giant spirit empire. There, the Navy's supreme commander Zheng Yi watched the incoming fleet with disdain. What's the big deal? Turns out it's just Zhao Zhuan bringing his scrap metal fleet to die here. Last time, they only got lucky, and one thanks to some inexplicable freak wind. Now, they actually think they have any real skill. Do they think those tin can ships can attack us? Transmit my orders to Juling Valley. All forces attack. Let them know who truly rules the seas. With that, the entire navy of Giant Spirit Empire set sail. Their commander raised a megaphone and started mocking again. Zhao Zhuan, if you surrender now, maybe I'll let you die whole. The soldiers behind him all burst out laughing. Zhao Zhuan didn't say a word of nonsense. He drew his sword and gave the attack order. As he shouted out the command, the 12 ironclads fired all main cannons in unison. Giant spirit warships were instantly blasted to splinters. After just one volley, Giant Spirit's navy was completely stunned. They could never have imagined that their most prized battleships would crumble in front of Dakian's artillery, like they were made of paper. Explosions rang out non-stop across the sea. After several rounds of salvos, the Giant Spirit Empire's 800 warships were totally annihilated. With a blank expression, Zhao Zhuan waved forward. All forces advance. Land on the shores of the Giant Spirit Empire. Avenge the fallen Dakian people. Dakian infantry stormed the beaches and landing craft, set up Maxim machine guns, and massacred the desperate defenders. In less than 1 hour, the coast defense line of the Giant Spirit Empire completely collapsed. The Dakian army pushed straight ahead, directly towards the capital of the Giant Spirit Empire. I turned my gaze to the situation inside their capital. In the Great Hall, Emperor Man Lai of the Giant Spirit Empire slumped on his throne. The Dakian army is almost at our gates. You all need to find me a solution now. The ministers looked at each other helplessly. Just then, the imperial preceptor fell to his knees with a thud. Your Majesty, I have one last plan. Let's call upon the deep sea god we have worshipped for generations. As long as the sea god descends, the Dakian army will be wiped out. Even that so-called heavenly god will pay the price. Man Lai jumped to his feet from the throne. Prepare for the ritual at once. I will personally go up to the altar and request the sea god to descend and kill every last Dakian bastard. Hearing this, I became interested too. Let's see if there's anything mysterious in their second-hand ecological tank. Moments later, the Giant Spirit Empire held a grand ritual by the sea, hoping to summon the sea god. Man Lai himself knelt down offering sacrifices, praying for the sea god to appear. The next second, from a crack in a piece of artificial rock, a hermit crab crawled out slowly. I couldn't help but twitch my mouth at the sight. So that's their big move? It turns out it was just a hermit crab playing dead. But I underestimated this crab's dimensional attack on these mortals. Now it waved its claws and crawled toward the Dakian fleet. Even just moving casually, it smashed 3 of Dakian's advanced gunboats. The Dakian soldiers panicked instantly. Frontline commanders ordered fire immediately. But bullets and shells had no effect on its shell. The hermit crab just kept crawling along, crushing one ironclad after another under its feet. Everyone was terrified to the extreme. Man Lai laughed uncontrollably at the Dakian fleet. See that? This is the sea god of our Giant Spirit Empire. This is the real deity. Where's your so-called heavenly god now? Does he dare show himself? How could he even compare to our sea god? After our sea god crushes your fleet, he'll tear down your golden statue, then destroy your Dacian. Your god can save you. Our sea god is the one true god of heaven and earth." Hearing this, my expression turned cold. How dare they say I'm lesser than a crab? I reached right in myself, grabbed that still rampaging hermit crab and lifted it out of the sea with ease. At this scene, everyone in the giant spirit empire was dumbfounded. What are these towering pillars? How could the sea god be captured? I lifted the hermit crab in front of me, squeezed gently with my fingers, and instantly crushed it to pieces. I casually tossed its remains back into the tank. Man Lai and all the people of the giant spirit empire were stunned. Their god was killed. Their faith completely collapsed. And they lost the will to resist. Man Lai's legs gave out. Meanwhile, Dacian erupted in thunderous cheers. Long live the heavenly god. Flatten the giant spirit empire. Let the world know of God's power. Morale soaring, the Dacian army surged into the giant spirit empire like a tidal wave. It took just a few hours to capture the capital, and the giant spirit empire was destroyed. The territory of the Dacian dynasty expanded tenfold. I used my teleportation ability to transport all the wealth and grain accumulated by the giant spirit empire back to Dacian's homeland. Even more surprising, there are several large iron mines within the territory of the giant spirit empire. Completely filled the power-forward resource gap, made the already rapidly developing industrial system even more powerful. In just 1 month, the railway reached the capital of the giant spirit kingdom, transporting massive amounts of ore to Dacian's factories back home. I leaned back on the sofa, while looking at the system panel, watching the grace points keep increasing, and listening to the miniature world, where Li Ziming praised me day and night non-stop. I was filled with a sense of accomplishment. The downfall of the giant spirit kingdom not only allowed Dacian to fully stand its ground, it also completely stabilized my divinity. Even in the most remote villages of Dacian, my statues were erected. Every household made daily offerings, and their faith flowed to me endlessly. I originally thought that after this event, there would be no force in this miniature world that would dare challenge Dacian. But I forgot. Innocence can be a crime when you possess treasures others desire. Dacian rose to power too quickly, which had already made the other powers on this continent sleepless and anxious. At this moment, the world map in the ecological tank updated again. Besides the central continent, where Dacian is located, 4 more vast continents appeared around it. Dozens of various nations were scattered on them. On the 3rd month after the giant spirit kingdom fell, the 4 strongest secretly sent emissaries and held an alliance in the faraway Black Market Empire, far from Dacian. However, I saw all of their moves inside the secret chamber of the Blackstone Empire's palace. The leaders of the 4 forces were all gathered. The emperor of the Blackstone Empire, Shi Jian, sat at the head seat, sweeping his gaze across everyone. Gentlemen, Dacian's ambition is plain as day. It's only been 3 months since they destroyed the giant spirit kingdom, and their railway has already been laid to the western continent. Their ironclad warships are always circling outside our harbors. If this goes on, their army will be at our doorstep. The high priest of the eternal tribe sighed. Dacian is so powerful. All because of that so-called supreme god Haoshan. Their iron ships and cannons were all bestowed by that deity. If we confront them head-on, we have no chance of winning. The Khan of the Golden Horde slammed the table. So what do? We can't beat them in battle. Are we supposed to just kneel and surrender? Just hand our kingdoms over to them? The sons of my Golden Horde are no cowards who surrender. At this moment, the emperor took a sip of wine. We can't fight them head-on, but we can fight dirty. Dacian looks strong, but inside it's full of holes. The former subjects of the giant spirit kingdom are full of resentment. As long as we support them in secret, we can create chaos behind their lines. And not just that, I'll also send assassins to infiltrate Dacian and blow up their factories. When he heard this, the high priest let out a sinister laugh. We can also send people to spread rumors, saying that Supreme God Haoshan is an evil god. As long as we shake the people's faith and cut off the power of their god, Dacian will fall sooner or later. Several people spoke one after another. The more we discussed, the more feasible it seemed. Suddenly, Shijian pulled out a dagger from his waist. He sliced his palm open and let his blood drip into the wine bowl in front of him. Today, our 4 nations swear brotherhood in blood. Once it's done, the lands and wealth of Dakian will be shared equally by our 5 families. Anyone who breaks this oath will be punished by heaven and earth. The other 3 leaders also cut their palms one after another, letting their blood drip into the wine bowl. Then they all drank it in one go. But I didn't make any rash moves. First, I wanted to test Zhao Zhuan to see if he could handle these crises on his own. If they always live in a greenhouse, Dakian will never truly progress. Secondly, I also wanted to see how loyal the people of Dakian are to me. Would they be easily swayed? Half a month later, the main railway line in Dakian first encountered a problem. A massive explosion erupted. 100 meters of track twisted and deformed by the blast. A huge crater was blasted in the roadbed. A passing steam train derailed on the spot. The carriages overturned, and the soldiers and workers aboard suffered heavy casualties. Zhao Zhuan immediately sent people to investigate. But before the results came back, bad news kept coming one after another. The steam engine factory outside the capital suddenly caught fire late at night. By the time the firefighters arrived, the entire factory was already reduced to ruins. Right after that, the spies of the 4 nations began spreading rumors wildly. They claimed I was an evil deity, and that I had abandoned my people long ago. That's why disasters kept happening. No matter how the rumors spread, not a single person wavered throughout Dakian. From the court to the common folk, everyone firmly believed that the Almighty would never abandon them. The officials performed their duties, and the people stayed orderly. No one betrayed their faith. On this day, the enemy army suddenly raided a small border village in Dakian. It was a small village, but every household worshipped my statue. After the enemy broke through the village entrance, they herded all the villagers into the central square. The leader pointed disdainfully at the statue and shouted, "Listen up! Your Almighty ran away long ago. He doesn't care if you live or die. Now all of you pick up a hammer and smash this worthless statue for me. Anyone who refuses, I'll kill on the spot." As soon as he finished speaking, the village chief, leaning on his cane, stepped forward. "The Almighty has saved Dakian from disaster many times. For life and eternity, we shall never forsake our God. If you want to destroy this statue, you'll have to step over my old bones first." All the villagers, young and old, blocked the statue together. When the rebel leader saw this, he drew his saber and pressed it against the chief's neck. Old man, still talking tough at death's door? Where is your God now? If he's really here, why hasn't he shown up to save you? I think you're all just a bunch of duped fools. Even if I wipe out this village today, your so-called God will never appear. Just then, outside the ecosystem tank, I flicked my finger lightly and used the power of matter disintegration. A gust of clear wind crashed down. Over a dozen rebels were instantly swept away and slammed hard into the wall. They couldn't move a muscle. With another wave of my hand, the ground in the center of the square suddenly rose up, forming several stone walls, tightly protecting the villagers and the statue. The next second, my voice echoed throughout every inch of Dakian's land. "I have never left. If you dare hurt my people, your sin is unforgivable. Today you shall pay the price." With that, I waved my hand again. Hundreds of water needles rained down from the sky, killing all the rebels. Then I looked in the direction of the Dakian Imperial Palace. "Zhao Zhuan, since the 4 nations seek death, lead the entire Dakian army to punish these traitors. I grant you new divine armor and immortal spells." Zhao Zhuan bowed respectfully to the sky, obeying God's decree. I stood before the ecosystem tank, overlooking the entire miniature world. By now, Dakian had regained its strength. The factories were running day and night, and the nation's power was at an all-time, unprecedented peak. The first target I chose to attack was the Golden Horde located on the northern continent. It was an endless grassland, a nation where everyone was a soldier, with cavalry as their absolute core. They boasted 1,000,000 armored riders. The Khan of the Golden Horde banged the table in his yurt, laughing wildly. Dakian's machines are nothing but scrap iron on these grasslands. They can't gain any advantage here. My 1,000,000-strong army only needs to charge once, and we can trample all their factories and railroads. Let's see what tricks their god might have. I sneered when I heard this. Since their strength lies in cavalry, then I'll give Dakian a set of war machines specialized to counter cavalry. So I opened the system shop and spent 500,000 divine grace points at once, directly exchanged for tracked assault vehicles, high-altitude hot air balloons, and blueprints for repeating anti-tank rifles. All 3 sets of equipment were perfectly suited for the grasslands. With a thought, the blueprints turned into streams of light and entered Zhao Zhuan's mind. He immediately ordered the Ministry of Works to begin production at all costs, to forge the God-given equipment. One day later in real time, the Dakian army had completed an unprecedented rearmament. When everything was ready, Zhao Zhuan personally led 100,000 Northern Corps soldiers, marching into the northern continent. The Golden Horde Khan led 300,000 elite cavalrymen to meet them in battle. He sat on his mighty steed and watched as the Dakian troops advanced slowly in the distance. You think these odd-looking metal boxes are a match for my prairie lions? Today I'll show you who truly rules the grasslands. All troops charge. With his command, 300,000 cavalrymen raised their curved blades and roared as they charged the Dakian line. But just as the cavalry entered firing range, a thunderous roar came from the sky. Dozens of massive hot air balloons took to the air, hovering above the cavalry formation. The next moment, countless high explosive shells rained down and exploded among the dense cavalry units with a thunderous boom. The horses panicked and bolted, turning the once organized charge into chaos. Seeing this, the Khan of the Golden Horde turned pale. But Dakian gave him no time to react. Dozens of tracked steppe assault vehicles roared into the field, maneuvering smoothly across the grasslands. Heavy machine guns on their turrets spat long streams of fire, mowing down the Golden Horde cavalry in droves. The enemy couldn't get close at all. A few tough soldiers made it to the vehicles and hacked at them with all their might, but only managed to make metallic clanging sounds without leaving a scratch. In less than half an hour, over half the 300,000 elite cavalry were killed or wounded. The rest were completely routed, fleeing in all directions. The Khan stared in shock. His legs gave way, and he fell right off his horse. Zhao Zhuan rode up and placed his sword across the Khan's neck. The Golden Horde has been slaughtering the great Qian people. Today is the day your nation is destroyed. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Zhuan beheaded the Kagan on the spot. At that moment, the system notification sounded. The host has assisted Great Qian in destroying the Golden Horde. Received 200,000 divine favor points. Unlocked the right to exploit the steppe's resources. The vast grasslands provided an endless supply of excellent war horses, allowing Great Qian to rapidly form a powerful cavalry force, perfectly complementing the steam-powered armored units. After pacifying the north, I set my sights on the southern continent. Here, dense jungles stretch everywhere. This is territory of the Eternal Tribe. This faction does not rely on a large army, but excels at using venomous GU and controlling poisonous insects and beasts. Every soldier carries a GU poison with them. They can kill without making a sound. Deep in the jungle, they laid countless poison arrays. If you attack rashly, you'll be worn down and die in the jungle. So I decided to upgrade Qian's equipment again. I exchanged for a full set of anti-poison gear, flamethrowers, and universal antidotes. The entire Great Qian army was completely refreshed. After the Legion advanced into the southern border jungles, countless poisonous insects swarmed at us. But the Qian soldiers' protective suits were sealed tight, making them fearless of bites. Soon after, the soldiers raised their flamethrowers together. Moments later, all the poisonous bugs had been turned to charcoal. Seeing this, the soldiers of the Eternal Tribe were shocked. How can there possibly be such powerful fire in this world? Our poisonous insects are so fragile and easily destroyed. From afar, the high priest, watching the battle, angrily waved his hand, activating the poison arrays. In an instant, countless poison-carrying butterflies fluttered towards us, like a wave of black miasma, everywhere they passed. Even the rocks were corroded with holes. However, the Qian soldiers' gas masks perfectly blocked all the poison, and the flamethrowers swept out once more. The butterflies were burned to ashes in large patches. They couldn't get within 10 meters of the main force. At this moment, the high priest personally led elite ancient corpses forward, chanting strange incantations. But as soon as they appeared, they were spotted by jungle reconnaissance vehicles. Zhao Zhuan immediately ordered a bombardment. Dozens of light mortar fired at once. Shells landed precisely in the midst of the ancient corpses. The ancient corpses suffered heavy casualties. They had no chance to unleash stronger poison magic. The Qian army kept advancing steadily. Along the way, every poison array was destroyed. The soldiers of the Eternal Tribe retreated step by step. They couldn't inflict even minimal damage on the Qian army, not even the slightest effective harm. The high priest realized the war was lost. He bit down hard on his own tongue. Quickly forming a forbidden hand seal with lightning speed, I detonated the ultimate poison array hidden under the altar. I'll die together with your great Qian emperor. Just then, I casually tossed a small cobblestone into the ecological tank, crushing it down hard on the high priest. The spell seal he just formed instantly dissipated. Seeing this scene, the entire great Qian army fell to their knees. The Heavenly Emperor personally saved our great Qian. The Heavenly Emperor's divine might is unmatched. Thank the Lord for protecting our army and eliminating all evil. The Dacian Empire was swiftly destroyed in succession. The Shandao Union and the Heishi Empire have been scared out of their wits long ago. The eastern continent is composed of hundreds of islands. The only fleet the Shandao Union has is made of wooden ships. But Dacian's greatest strength is its navy. They destroyed them effortlessly. Now only the Heishi Empire of the western continent remains. This country built the walls of its magic city from indestructible obsidian, soaring high into the clouds. Their ruler hides inside the massive city, drinking and partying. I have Dacian's most powerful minister, Dacian's cannons. No matter how strong, you can't break through. Even if their gods appeared in person, they still couldn't break my city. I will drag this out with them for eternity. I watched as the ruler flaunted his arrogance in the city. For this final battle, I will bring Dacian's most powerful siege force. Let the Heishi Empire fall into utter despair before absolute power, and lose all hope. I opened the system store, spent a full 1 million divine favor points to exchange for massive siege cannons and an electromagnetic pulse device. Dacian put all the nation's effort into rushing production. 1 month later, dozens of massive siege cannons were transported to under Heishi City's walls. Zhao Zhuan came to the front lines in person. The ruler was told surrender would spare his life. The ruler stood atop the city walls, laughing wildly. My city is unbreakable. If you have the guts, come in and fight. Zhao Zhuan said no more, and waved his hand. Fire. Dozens of massive cannons roared at once. The land and sky shook instantly. Heishi City's walls cracked wide open in a moment. After several salvos, the thick, towering walls collapsed with a rumble. The ruler collapsed immediately on the ground, and was easily captured alive by the Dacian soldiers who rushed in. Thus, the Heishi Empire was destroyed. Other small countries quickly sent letters of surrender. Now, Dacian faces no more enemies. Dacian's people devoutly knelt before my divine statue. Heotian, Lord of Heaven, faith and worship, undying through the ages, poured endlessly into my body. The system notification sounded repeatedly. Host has helped Dacian complete conquests in all directions, uniting the miniature world, rewarded with 2 million divine favor points. Dacian's civilization level has increased. Interstellar technology access unlocked. Just then, at the bottom of the ecological tank, a faint cracking sound suddenly came. The bottom panel split open with a crash, revealing an even broader new sector. I looked closely and saw that what appeared wasn't an ordinary land, but peaks shrouded in immortal mist. Among the mountains floated jade pavilions and celestial palaces. Birds and beasts moved throughout. You could even see tiny people flying on swords. The scene sent the people of Dacian into an uproar, instantly causing a commotion. Zhao Zhuan looked up at the sky in disbelief. Could this be Zhuanzhou, the land of immortals only found in Dacian mythology? Zhuanzhou, where legends say immortals who never age reside, who can command wind and rain. A holy place mortals can never reach in their lifetimes. As he finished speaking, the people of Dacian all fell to their knees, bowing toward the celestial domain. Every soldier in the army showed reverence as well. They'd grown up hearing tales of Xuanzhou, never imagined that the legendary domain of immortals could truly appear before their eyes. News flooded into the capital like a tide. The ruler collapsed immediately on the ground and was easily captured alive by the Dacian soldiers who rushed in. Thus, the Heishi Empire was destroyed. Other small countries quickly sent letters of surrender. Now, Dacian faces no more enemies. Dacian's people devoutly knelt before my divine statue. Heotian, Lord of Heaven, faith eternal, poured endlessly into my body. The system notification sounded repeatedly. Host has helped Dacian complete conquests in all directions, uniting the miniature world, rewarded with 2 million divine favor points. Dacian's civilization level has increased. Interstellar technology access unlocked. Just then, at the bottom of the ecological tank, a faint cracking sound suddenly came. The bottom panel split open with a crash, revealing an even broader, brand new sector. I looked closely and saw that what appeared wasn't an ordinary land, but peaks shrouded in immortal mist. Among the mountains floated jade pavilions and celestial palaces. Birds and beasts moved throughout. You could even see tiny people flying on swords. The scene sent the people of Dacian into an uproar, instantly causing a commotion. Zhao Zhuan looked up at the sky in disbelief. Could this be Xuanzhou? The land of immortals only found in Dacian mythology. Xuanzhou, where legends say immortals who never age reside, who can command wind and rain. A holy place mortals can never reach in their lifetimes. As he finished speaking, the people of Dacian all fell to their knees, bowing toward the celestial domain. Every soldier in the army showed reverence as well. They'd grown up hearing tales of Xuanzhou, never imagined that the immortal domain of legend could really appear before their eyes. News flooded into the capital like a tide. Several figures hovered in midair. The old Daoist in the lead looked at the king people with contempt. Just a petty mortal nation, thinking they can rule by relying on cheap metal and broken weapons. That so-called Heotian, Lord of Heaven you all worship, is nothing but a clown hiding in the shadows, not fit to be compared with us cultivators from Xuanzhou. His disciple drew his immortal sword. You mortals can't even sense spiritual energy. You're not worthy to coexist with our celestial realm, much less appear before the gods and immortals. Only when we wipe out Dacian can you approach Xuanzhou's immortal domain. As they finished speaking, every Dacian person stared up at the sky in shock. The immortals want to destroy us. Weren't they supposed to be benevolent immortals from legends? How could they be so ruthless? At that moment, an old general stepped out from the ranks. Chen Yuan will lead the army to attack Xuanzhou and defend Dacian's lands and slaughter these arrogant invaders. Hearing this, Zhao Zhuan angrily pointed at the sky. Xuanzhou villains seek to destroy our great Qin. How could we just sit and wait for death? Even if they have cultivation arts, with the protection of our god, we'll definitely defeat them. The people gathered outside the palace too. Heotian, Lord of Heaven, protect us. Great Qin will surely prevail. Meanwhile, I stood outside the ecological tank, tapping on the glass wall with my finger. I never thought even a cultivation civilization would appear. This is much more interesting than the weak forces before. 3 days later in the Dacian Imperial Palace, Zhao Zhuan had gathered all the officials.
He sat in the dragon throne, face grim.
The people of Xuanzhou clearly pose a threat to Dacian. Does anyone have any strategies? Several figures hovered in midair. The old Daoist in the lead looked at Dacian people with contempt. Just a petty mortal nation, thinking they can rule by relying on cheap metal and broken weapons. That so-called Heotian, Lord of Heaven you all worship, is nothing but a clown hiding in the shadows, not fit to be compared with us cultivators from Xuanzhou. His disciple drew his immortal sword. You mortals can't even sense spiritual energy. You're not worthy to coexist with our celestial realm, much less appear before the gods and immortals. Only after we wipe out Dacian can you approach Xuanzhou's immortal domain. As soon as they finished speaking, everyone from Great Qian looked up at the sky in shock. People from Xianyu actually want to wipe out our Great Qian. Aren't they supposed to be legendary immortals? How could they be so brutal? At that moment, an old general stepped out from the ranks. Chen Yuan leads the army to crusade against Xuanzhou, to defend Great Qian's territory. and to kill all these arrogant invaders. Hearing this, Zhao Zhuan angrily pointed at the sky. Xuanzhou traitors plot to destroy our great Qin. Are we just going to sit and wait for death? Even if they have the arts of immortal cultivation, we are protected by the gods. We will surely defeat them. Civilians also began to gather outside the imperial palace. May the heavenly emperor protect us. Great Qin will surely win. Meanwhile, I stood outside the ecological tank, tapping lightly on the tank wall with my fingertips. I didn't expect an immortal civilization to show up. This is much more interesting than those previous minor powers. 3 days later, in the Great Qian Imperial Palace, Zhao Zhuan had already summoned all his officials for a meeting. He sat with a grave expression. On the dragon throne,
People from Zhuangzhou are clearly hostile toward Great Qian.
Ministers, do you have any strategies against our enemies? Upon hearing this, the Minister of War knelt down in submission. Your Majesty, the immortal cultivators of Xuanzhou are chosen by heaven. They possess the power to destroy the world. Our great Qian steam ironclads are no match before them. Instead of stubborn resistance, we should submit to Xuanzhou. At least we could save the people of our nation. Although the heavenly emperor used to protect Great Qian, now that a true immortal from Xuanzhou has descended, he has already withdrawn. He cannot protect us at all. As soon as these words were spoken, the court burst into an uproar. Zhao Zhuan smacked the table in anger. Outrageous! The heavenly emperor has saved Great Qian from disaster time and again. Without the god, there would be no Great Qian today. How dare you slander the gods and collude with the enemy? Do you think I am already dead? But instead, the Minister of War looked up and sneered coldly. Your Majesty, don't be so stubborn. Master Zhuan Yangzi said. If Great Qian does not surrender in full within 3 days, he will personally lead the immortal cultivators to flatten the capital. Today is the final deadline. By then, your Majesty will regret it when it's too late. If the heavenly emperor really had the power, why didn't he show up to stop them? His words were like a thorn in the hearts of the officials. The Prime Minister sighed anxiously. Xuanzhou's immortal cultivators are openly provoking us, but the gods have not responded at all. Could it really be, as the minister says, that the gods have already abandoned us? Just as everyone was wavering, a rumbling sound suddenly came from the direction of Xuanzhou. Zhuan Yangzi led hundreds of immortal cultivators riding swords into the sky. Hovering above the capital, he waved his horsetail whisk, sending a sharp sword energy slashing toward the golden roof of the palace. Zhao Zhuan, you little brat. 3 days are up. If you still refuse to surrender, your great Qian will be reduced to ashes today. Zhao Zhuan walked out of the golden throne hall with calm composure. Don't get cocky, all of you. Just wait until the supreme heavenly emperor descends. He'll wipe you all out. Upon hearing this, Zhuan Yangzi let out a cold snort. That so-called deity of yours is nothing more than a coward hiding in his shell. Today I'll smash his golden statue. Let the whole world see that mortal gods are powerless. As he spoke, Zhuan Yangzi raised his hand, shooting out a streak of golden sword energy, straight toward the pure gold statue on the plaza. Seeing this scene, Zhao Zhuan immediately looked at the main artillery chief. Fire! Protect the statue! But as soon as Daqian's cannons fired, the shells were blocked mid-air by Zhuangzhou disciples' spells. The sword energy still headed for the statue. Just as the statue was about to be shattered, I picked up a fly swatter and put it into the micro-ecological tank, blocking the front of the statue. Xuan Yangyi's sword energy slammed into the fly swatter and instantly dissipated. Xuan Yangyi's eyes widened in shock. What kind of monster is this? My natal sword energy. How could it be blocked by such a mundane object? The cultivators behind him all looked terrified too, staring at the fly swatter hundreds of times larger than themselves. They trembled all over. Xuan Yangzi pointed at the sky and shouted angrily. Coward hiding with your tail between your legs. Come out and fight if you have the guts. Stop hiding in the shadows playing dirty tricks. I am the leader of Xuanzhou. I have 1,000 years of cultivation. I swear to tear you to pieces, he roared, while gathering an even stronger sword energy in his hand, trying to smash the fly swatter in one blow. I looked at the furious Xuan Yangzi stomping inside the micro-ecological tank and sneered with disdain. Where did this group of little flies come from? daring to buzz around on my turf? With that, I gently waved the fly swatter in my hand, stirring up a raging gale in the micro-tank. The wild wind howled through. Zhangzhou's cultivators were blown apart, scattered in all directions. Many disciples were swept up by the gale and crashed into the palace walls or distant forests. Xuan Yangzi was crushed by the wind, his face full of embarrassment and terror, looking at his own disciples in utter disarray next to him. Retreat, spare their lives for now.
Someday, I will bring all of Zhuangzhou's power to flatten Daqian.
And wash away today's humiliation with blood. Xuan Yangzi forced himself to stabilize, grabbed several badly wounded core disciples nearby, and used all his spiritual energy to fly away on his sword. He and his group fled in panic toward Zhangzhou. Seeing this, the remaining cultivators also scattered and ran for their lives. Seeing this, Daqian soldiers erupted in thunderous cheers. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor's divine might is unmatched. Zhao Zhuan also breathed a sigh of relief, bowing deeply to the sky. Thank you, Supreme Heavenly Emperor, for your protection, helping Daqian drive away our strong enemies. After Xuan Yangzi was defeated and fled, I turned my eyes back to Zhuangzhou. As soon as Xuan Yangzi landed, he spit a mouthful of blood. A mere mortal country, a deity hiding in the shadows, dares to bring shame to Zhuangzhou and kill my disciples? If I don't grind that deity to dust, I am not worthy to be called human. He immediately summoned all Zhuangzhou elders. Convey my orders. Zhuangzhou is to be locked down. Mobilize every spiritual vein. Gather all cultivators. Forge my natal magical weapon. Set up the 10,000 immortals jade guarding array. 3 days from now, I'll personally lead all of Zhuangzhou to destroy Daqian and slaughter all the mortal ants. Let them see what happens when you offend Zhuangzhou. The Zhuangzhou elders all bowed in acceptance. Hearing this, I shook my head helplessly. If he wants death so badly and insists on coming for more, then I'll send him another gift. With that in mind, I opened the system store. Without hesitation, I spent 1 million divine favor points to exchange for blueprints for missiles and atomic bombs, then spent 500,000 more points to buy a time acceleration item. This will let Daqian complete years of manufacturing in just 1 day. Next, I willed it so that both the blueprints and the time acceleration tool were sent into the miniature world. With the time acceleration effect, Daqian quickly produced 20 long-range rocket launchers and 2 atomic bombs. Zhao Zhuan looked at the fully armed, modernized army.
Today,
We'll march on Zhuangzhou with divine super weapons. Flatten Zhuangzhou. Protect Daqian's lands. Make them pay the price for their arrogance. As he finished speaking, the modern army began to advance toward Zhuangzhou. At this time, Xuan Yangzi was forging his natal magical weapon in the sacred land. When he heard that Daqian dared to attack first, he burst out laughing. What ignorant mortal ants! You actually dared to deliver yourselves here. Saves me the trouble of marching out myself. With that, he put down the magical item in his hand and ordered all cultivators to follow him into battle. 2 hours later, Xuan Yangzi finally appeared at Zhuangzhou's mountain gate. Looking into the distance, the modern Daqian army slowly approached. These mortal ants think their useless metal scraps are enough to show off in front of my Zhuangzhou. Today I'll show them that the gap between immortals and mortals is unbridgeable. Zhan Yanyi's top disciple stepped forward. Master, there's no need for you to act personally. I will set up the 10,000 immortals jade guarding array right now, so they won't even touch our mounting gate, and they'll die miserably in the formation. Let's show them Zhuangzhou's power. With that, he made a gesture. Hundreds of Zhuangzhou's core disciples quickly dispersed, arranging complex spell seals around the mountain gate. Spiritual energy surged all around. A massive light gold barrier slowly rose, covering all of Zhuangzhou. Xuan Yangzi placed his hands behind his back. Mortal ants, do you see this? This is Zhuangzhou's top defensive array. The 10,000 immortals jade guarding array. Not to mention your useless metal weapons. Even 1,000-year-old cultivators can't break it. Today I'll make all your weapons worthless. Leave you struggling helplessly outside the gate until you starve to death. Your corpses will nourish Zhuangzhou's spiritual veins. Zhuangzhou's disciples mocked the Daqian troops. Give up and stop resisting. Hurry and surrender on your knees. Maybe we'll spare your lives and let you serve us as slaves. Why isn't that secretive deity coming out now? Afraid of Zhuanzhou? Upon seeing this, Zhao Zhuan immediately ordered his troops to open fire. Hit them hard for me. Break their shield. As soon as he finished, the tanks and rocket launchers fired together. A barrage of scorching shells rained down on Zhuanzhou's barrier. The shells exploded against the shield, with earth-shaking booms. But the barrier just rippled slightly. Xuan Yangzi burst into laughter. Saw that, right? Your weapons are just junk in front of our array. They're nothing but scrap metal. My advice, surrender now. Otherwise, once I launch the array's counterattack, you'll all be turned to ashes. Dacian soldiers' faces changed slightly. Zhao Zhuan also frowned. Just at that moment, my voice echoes once again throughout the miniature world. A bunch of clowns dare to flaunt such a pitiful formation before me. As I spoke, I reached my hand into the ecosphere, instantly blocking out the entire sky. Zhuan Yangzi stared in shock at the pitch-black sky. Don't panic, it's just an illusion. This is just me gently stirring my fingers. In the blink of an eye, the Zhuan State's grand formation was shattered. At this moment, the disciples of Zhuan State were already shivering in fear. This can't be. The myriad immortals Jade protecting array is a top-tier grand formation handed down in Zhuan State for 10,000 years. How could it be destroyed so easily? What exactly are you? Hearing this, I snorted coldly. Nothing is impossible. If you dare challenge my divine might, today will be the day your Zhuan State is annihilated. Witnessing the defensive formation being broken, Zhao Zhuan jumped up excitedly. The Heavenly Emperor has cleared all obstacles for Daqian. Give it your all and attack. With Zhao Zhuan's order, cannon fire bombarded the jade towers of Zhuan State. The cultivator disciples were forced to retreat again and again. Seeing this, Zhuan Yangzi frantically waved his horsetail whisk. How could I possibly lose to mere mortals? As he spoke, he conjured a massive sword energy and blasted it toward the Daqian army. But I was well prepared and ordered the activation of the energy shield, once again using the fly swatter to deflect Zhao Zhuan's attack. Xuan Yangzi was shaken by the backlash, stepping back over and over, and collapsed to the ground, powerless. By this time, Zhuan State was already in ruins. The cultivator disciples suffered heavy casualties. Xuan Yangzi watched his disciples fall one by one, struggling to get up.
He fell to his knees before Zhao Zhuan.
Spare me, I'm willing to surrender, and offer all of Zhuan State's spiritual veins. As tribute to the Heavenly Emperor, submit to Daqian. Serve loyally and never rebel again. Please don't kill me, Daqian. The soldiers ceased their attack and looked at Zhao Zhuan, awaiting his command. Zhao Zhuan did not act on his own. Instead, he bowed respectfully to the sky. Heavenly Emperor, the traitors of Zhuan State are willing to surrender. Please instruct us, my lord. Hearing this, I withdrew the fly swatter. Xuan Yangzi insulted my divine majesty.
His sin is deserving of death.
Surrendering cannot erase his crime. Execute Zhuan Yangzi on the spot, as a warning to others.
Hearing this, Zhao Zhuan glanced coldly at Zhuan Yangzi.
You all heard the Lord's command? Do it. A few Daqian soldiers immediately stepped forward, executing Zhuan Yangzi and several of his core followers on the spot. The once arrogant Zhuan State was completely destroyed. Daqian took over the entire Zhuan State and gained rich rewards. I personally counted Zhuan State's resources. There are 3,000-year-old spiritual veins in Zhuan State, constantly providing spiritual energy. I immediately ordered the Daqian soldiers to learn cultivation techniques, combining technology with cultivation to help Daqian's forces improve their strength. At that moment, I heard the system notification sound in my mind once again. Host has aided Daqian in the destruction of Zhuan State. Zhuan State's cultivation resources in the miniature world are now fully under control. Daqian's civilization level has advanced. Host's divine grace value has surpassed 5 million. System upgrade rewards unlocked. New exclusive access to the real world granted. Privilege 1. The host's body gains divine level protective enhancement. Say goodbye to diseases once and for all. Privilege 2. Divine grace points can be directly exchanged for real world currency. 10,000 divine grace points can be exchanged for 100,000 yuan. Privilege 3. The host can spend divine grace points. Unlock any skill in the real world, such as teleporting objects and seeing the future. The system notification sounded. I felt a warm current sweep through my whole body. All fatigue instantly vanished. My vision and hearing became exceptionally clear. After the system upgrade, my life in reality has been completely transformed. I look radiant and energetic. I appear at least 10 years younger than my peers. I casually opened the system panel, looking at my divine grace points on the panel. Then, with a gentle tap of my finger, I exchanged them for 5 million yuan. My phone instantly received a bank deposit notification. I spent another 100,000 divine grace points to unlock a skill. Next, I came in front of the terrarium. I wanted to see how the development in the miniature world of Dakion was going. But the moment I looked at the terrarium, the smile on my face instantly froze. Inside Dakion, chaos reigned in the terrarium. Corpses of cultivators and soldiers were piled up like mountains. Several bizarre battleships hovered in the sky, constantly firing devastating energy beams. Every strike flattened Dakion's defensive fortifications. Zhao Zhuan led the remaining troops in a desperate fight, but their weapons couldn't harm the battleships at all. Instead, they kept getting pushed back by the alien battleships' counterattacks. A general knelt before Zhao Zhuan. Your Majesty, these battleships' defenses are too strong. If this continues, we'll be completely wiped out. Zhao Zhuan watched as his people and soldiers kept falling around him. Heavenly Emperor, please protect Dakion. Help Dakion repel these extraterrestrial invaders. At that moment, I began to observe these powerful battleships closely. Inside the command compartment of the battleship, I saw a group of aliens. The alien leader looked down at Dakion with contempt. How dare a mere primitive civilization resist my galactic federation? Today, I'll completely destroy your world and turn your planet into my colony. The adjutant bowed slightly. Leader, the civilization here is too primitive. We just need one more full-scale attack, and we can wipe out all their resistance. Should we give the order to finish them off now? The leader showed a cruel smile. Not so fast. I want their emperor to watch his people slaughtered before his eyes. Hearing this, I slowly reached my right hand into the terrarium. A gigantic hand instantly enveloped several battleships. The remaining Dakian soldiers saw this and erupted with earth-shattering cheers. They all knelt down to the ground. Heavenly Emperor has arrived. Dakian is saved. The alien leader tried to maintain composure and stood up. What nonsense, God. Just a fantasy of a primitive civilization. Just a larger human being. Could never defeat our fleet. All battleships. Full firepower. As he finished speaking, several alien battleships simultaneously fired their laser cannons. Blue beams shot toward my giant hand, but I didn't feel any pain or discomfort. Just a slight warmth in my palm. Then, I squeezed my fingers forcefully. The alien battleships were crushed like paper. Another battleship was blasted and immediately exploded. The leader looked at the scene before him in disbelief. Impossible! How could a human body withstand my laser cannon? Upon hearing this, I sneered. My body has already been enhanced. Your junk ships are no better than a mosquito. As I spoke, I kept waving my hand, taking down the alien battleships one by one. Just as the leader tried to escape with the flagship, I grabbed him in one move. I didn't bother with him, simply crushed the flagship into powder. In just a few minutes, the alien invasion force was completely defeated by me. Zhao Zhuan led his civil and military officials and bowed deeply to my figure. Thank you, Heavenly Emperor, for your protection. You saved Dakian from disaster. Just then, the system notification sounded once again. The faith power of Dakian's people surged. The system shop unlocked a future technology zone. Upon hearing this, I opened the system shop. It had updated with many items that only exist in science fiction novels. But these technologies were too advanced. Dakian couldn't produce them at all yet. I let out a helpless sigh. What a pity. After all that effort, I only got a pile of useless designs. The system notification sounded again. Detected that the host's divine grace points have surpassed 10 million. Unlocking ultimate privilege. Blueprint realization ability. All technological blueprints in the system shop can now be converted into usable technology in the real world. When I heard this, my eyes lit up. So that means these future-level technologies can not only benefit Dakian, they can now be used in the real world, giving Dragon Nation the power of future technology. Thinking this, I immediately began to try, exchanging all future-level technology blueprints. A flash of blue light appeared. Antimatter missiles, interstellar warp engines, and other blueprints really appeared in my hands. Every single item was enough to shock the world. I didn't hesitate, immediately contacted the relevant national departments, and voluntarily handed over all the blueprints. At first, the personnel receiving the news were skeptical, but when they arrived at my house and saw the technological blueprints on my desk, they were thoroughly amazed. Soon, these future technologies were escorted by experts, sent to the nation's top research institutes. In just half a year, our country successfully developed these facilities and weapons. The nation didn't forget my contribution and granted me high honors and recognition. But I refused all excessive rewards, accepting only a simple commendation. To me, watching my homeland grow stronger, seeing my compatriots enjoy better lives is enough. I still lead a low-key and peaceful life, though now I have the protection bestowed by my country, allowing me to peacefully guard the miniature world inside the terrarium. At this moment, I looked again at the terrarium. Dakian is becoming stronger, gradually mastering more advanced technology and cultivation arts. The people of Dakian devoutly worshipped my statue. I felt that pure faith. My heart was filled with comfort. I will continue to guard these two worlds that belong to me, witnessing them advance toward an even brighter future.